Hi, my name is Muskan, and today we're going to talk about the gap that we see between the technologies that are being developed and how many of them are actually being used by farmers in the farm. We hear a lot about GPS, auto steer, drones, and whatnot, like data cloud, every different app, and everything. But when we actually step in on the farm, there's still notebooks, notepads, writing down every detail and stuff like that. So I think it should not be that case when we have so much of technology already existing in today's time. So my main point is gonna be about the complexity of the machine and how can we make this easier and accessible for every farmer to be used. So in this talk we're gonna talk about how we can solve this complexity problem so that every farmer, no matter how much of technology they know or not know, can use any kind of technology easily and accessibly. So the first thing we're going to talk about the tech gap that exists. So we have got a lot of machines today's time, like automatic machines, the machines that can actually record the yield data and field data, that can actually map yields in a real time and everything. They can organize and keep record of it. But in reality, it's different. Like when we see from a technology perspective, we have almost all the stuff right there, but most of them are not being used by farmers. So we have to understand what exactly the problem is going on here. So many farmers would want to use something that has simple features and can easily be understood and used by them, rather than going through different steps every different time and being stuck while they are already going through a lot of stuff. Like they have to think about the weather and everything, so they would not want to be like sitting there and going through each step and being scared that they might be going wrong and they might just blow up their whole setup that is already existing. So I have seen that for these problems, we usually blame the cost of the product or the poor internet connections that might be in the field, but the actual problem is not being discussed about, and that's about how difficult it is for a farmer to use something that has so much of technical stuff out there. Like a lot of farmers don't know so many of the tech things, and they need something that can easily be understood by them. So the first problem that we're going to talk about, as I just said, is that the technology is too complicated to learn. So the biggest barrier is about farmer not using the technology is the complexity of the machines. So there are like various different things out there for each machine. They have different types of systems for same kind of machine, but different models. They have different kinds of setup. So a farmer has to go through each step of every single device, which is not such a good thing for them, I would say. Also, so because of all this, farmers usually prefer to stick with something that they already know rather than trying on new things, because they might be scared that they might be doing some stuff wrong and that might just mess up the whole thing. We do have things like variable rate setting, section control, or detailed mapping, but when a farmer has to go through all the mapping, all the step or like manually, it takes a lot more time, and they have in the busy times, especially for like in Canada, there are like few months that are really busy, and they don't have enough time to go through each manual like that. So it's not practical for them basically. Moving on to next problem is cloud data and mistrust. So in this part, the farmers might be just scared about where the data is going. I mean, like they don't have enough knowledge about how the data works or how the data is being shared through different sites and stuff like that. So they might just be scared about where their real-time machine and field data is actually going. Like someone might be using it in in wrong ways, or maybe a company can be sold and the data can leak, and stuff like that might actually scare farmers a lot. Also, for each data app, there are so many logins they have to go through, making things even more stressful rather than easy. Um, so yeah, in this part, it's basically about not them being aware of how the data things works. So our third and last problem is about weak training and support. So, whenever a new device or software is being developed, the developer gives a step-by-step walkthrough, but it's often like a month before then actually the device is being used. So by the time the farmers had to use that device, it is already too late and they forgot almost all the steps, and they are just like stuck, like what I need to do now. So basically, I think it should have a easier way for them to actually understand the steps of using a device, because for them, like if they read a manual, it might be in tech language, not easy for them to understand. If they just try to check an online video to search about particular stuff going on, they might not be available for the same model that they are using. So it can make things way more harder for them to actually understand. So a farmer would prefer something like another farmer guiding them through the steps while they are actually working on the field with that device, so that they can actually understand and remember that later too. So I think for this whole section, the conclusion would just be that a proper guidance should be given rather than just a walkthrough that they might gonna forget a few months later. So we have discussed about 3 problems till now, and I have 2 solutions proposed for that. The first one would be designed for simplicity. So I believe the machines should be designed in a simple manner so that anyone can actually use it, because most of the farmers are not aware of a lot of technical things. That's not their job. So they should not be supposed to like dealing with that kind of technical issues. Things should be simpler for them, and it should just be like few steps, not like different step for every new model. So that makes things harder for them. So it should be simple, reliable, accessible, and stuff like that. So I believe it would be so much easier if they actually just launch a phone application, because phone is something that we all use in today's life. So it would be easier for them to learn about a new application rather than something going on a tractor's screen. Also, having fewer icons, fewer screens, and like fewer steps would be really helpful for the farmers to actually understand the whole step going on. So my second solution is about designing the right kind of support and proof for farmers. So farmers are more practical and they want to see in real numbers rather than technical numbers. So how we can actually help them with that? They would prefer something with fewer passes, some machine that is using less fuel and better placement. That means that more local demons, more side-by-side trials, and more farmer teaching other farmers. Obviously, like the farmer already worked with some technology can make another farmer understand better than anyone else can, because they have gone through different experiences with that machine and device. So it'll be easier for them to understand. So in order to wrap up this whole presentation, I would like to end up with this, that it is not always about the money or the internet. It might be about the designing of the machine, which is not specifically made for a farmer. It is made for a technician. And farmers should not be doing a technician's job. So we should try making simpler and easily understandable machines. And yeah, that's it for my part. Thank you so much.